This is Salisu, the cheerful wanderer. Nobody could tell where Salisu came from. He was always wandering from place to place. He had no home, no family, and no steady job. People would often see him walking along the dusty roads of their villages, whistling happily or chatting with anyone who cared to listen. Salisu was funny. He spoke perfect English, and his accent was different, which made people want to listen to him. He joked a lot, even when his words made no sense. Salisu is a cheerful man, they said. We don't care where he's from, as long as he makes us laugh. Sometimes he did small jobs for people to earn a little money. He helped sweep compounds, fetch water, or carry heavy loads in the market. Other times, people gave him food out of kindness, and even when he was untidy and his clothes looked worn out, people didn't mind. One evening, a young lady named Aloy saw Salisu sitting under a mango tree. He looked tired and hungry, but he was still humming a tune. Aloy watched him for a while before walking up to him. Salisu, she called, why don't you come to my house? I have something for you. Salisu scratched his head and smiled. Ah, Ma Aloy, I don't usually follow people to their houses. Oh. Aloy laughed. You won't regret it. Just follow me. I have food for you. Food? Salisu couldn't resist food. His stomach growled loudly, as if agreeing with Aloy. So he stood up and followed her. When they got to Aloy's house, she placed a bowl of food in front of him. Salisu frowned. The food didn't look like any food he had ever eaten. It wasn't rice, beans, or yam. It was just fresh vegetables. What is this? Salisu asked, pointing at the bowl. It's food, Aloy said. Eat it and your life will change. Salisu laughed so hard he nearly fell off the chair. My life is fine, Ma Aloy. If anyone's life needs changing, it's yours. In fact, you need a husband. Let me help you with that. Will you marry me? Aloy didn't laugh. Instead, she looked at him seriously. If you want to marry me, eat the food first. Salisu looked at the strange food again. He didn't trust it, but his stomach growled louder. He picked a small piece of vegetable and chewed slowly. It tasted strange, but he swallowed it. Suddenly, Salisu froze. A strange feeling ran through his body, like a shock. He looked at his hands, his clothes, and the room around him. Why am I here? He asked. Why do I look like this? What happened to me? Aloy placed her hand on his shoulder. Calm down, Salisu. I will tell you everything, but first, you must listen carefully. Aloy sighed deeply, her face serious. Salisu, she began, I have been searching for you for months. I came to help you, to deliver you from what was done to you. Salisu frowned and shook his head. What are you talking about? I don't need any deliverance. I was in my office yesterday, working as usual. I don't understand why I'm here, dressed like this, and why you are talking about helping me. Aloy chuckled softly, but her voice carried a heavy weight. Salisu, what date was yesterday? Salisu folded his arms and smirked. It was the 15th of July, 2019. Why do you ask? Aloy handed him her phone. Look at this. Salisu grabbed the phone and stared at the date displayed on the screen. His hand began to shake. No, 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 no. This can't be true. It says 2024. 5 years. What do you mean, Aloy? What is going on? His voice broke and he slumped into the chair, tears filling his eyes. Aloy knelt beside him, placing a gentle hand on his knee. Salisu, you've been wandering for 5 years, but you don't remember because your memory was locked away. Let me explain everything. Salisu wiped his face and nodded, his voice trembling. Tell me, I need to know what happened to me. Aloy's tone grew serious as she began her story. Salisu, 5 years ago, I was at a meeting at the bottom of a river in the Marine Kingdom. While we were there, a woman came to the riverside and made a pronouncement. She said she was dedicating someone's life to destruction. That person was you. Salisu's mouth fell open. He tried to speak but couldn't find the words. Aloy continued, her voice steady. Your auntie consulted a juju man to prepare a powerful charm for her. She wanted you out of the way so that she could inherit your father's company, and she was determined to take it from you. She gave the charm the juju man gave to her daughter, your cousin, and instructed her to rub it on her face before visiting your office. Salisu's hand gripped the edge of the chair as he listened. As soon as you saw her, Aloy said, the charm worked. You lost consciousness and began speaking nonsense about traveling far away to another state. Your auntie went back to the juju man who gave her a padlock. He told her to lock your memory inside it and throw it into the river. That was where I saw her. She threw the padlock into the water and left, satisfied that her plan had worked. Salisu's head was spinning. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. So I've been like this for 5 years because of my auntie. But why would she do this to me? I've done nothing to her. Aloy's face softened. Salisu, greed can make people do terrible things. But don't lose hope. When I saw what happened, I felt pity for you. I've been searching for you ever since to help neutralize the charm. That's why I made you eat the herb. It was the first step to breaking the spell. Salisu sat in shock as Aloy's word echoed in his mind. His own auntie had used charms to make him useless so she could control his father's company. His heart was heavy with disappointment. How can I free myself from this? He asked, his voice shaking. Aloy calmly reassured him. We need to meet her face to face, she said. Only then can we deal with the situation properly. Determined, they left the village and journeyed to the city, where Salisu's father's company was located. Upon arriving, Salisu discovered that his auntie had been the one in charge of the company all along, and that confirmed what Aloy had said. He could barely contain his anger, but Aloy gently reminded him to stay calm. They proceeded to his mansion, where they found his auntie living in luxury. The sight of her enjoying the wealth meant for him and his late parents made his blood boil. As soon as his auntie heard his voice, she froze in shock and covered her face. According to the charm's conditions, she was never supposed to see Salisu again. Salisu stormed into the room and confronted her. What did I ever do to you? He demanded. What could I not provide for you that made you turn me into a vagabond? His auntie tried to speak, but could only stammer. Before she could utter a word, she collapsed in fear and shame. Her children rushed in and took her to the hospital. Salisu, overwhelmed by a mix of anger and sorrow, shouted after them, Never return to this house again. Sitting in his father's old study, Salisu wept bitterly as memories of his parents flooded his mind. They had died in a car accident, leaving him in the care of one person he thought he could trust, his auntie. How could she betray him like this? Alheri, who had been silently watching him, placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Salisu, she said gently, your pure heart is what saved you. It drew me to you in the first place. Now take charge of your father's company and let your kindness guide you. Salisu looked up, tears streaming down his face. Stay with me, Alheri, he pleaded. I can't do this alone. Alheri shook her head, a soft smile on her lips. I was never human, Salisu. I took on this form to help you in your time of need, but my mission here is done. Salisu held onto her hand, unwilling to let go. Please don't leave, he whispered. Alheri stepped back, turning to leave. Go back to the village, she said. Show gratitude to the people who helped you when you were at your lowest. Your path is now clear. Remember, stay true to your heart. And with that, she stepped out of the house. After she left through the door, Salisu ran outside, hoping to stop her, but she was gone. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. Her words echoed in his mind, urging him to let go of bitterness and continue with a pure heart. The next day, Salisu received the news that his auntie had passed away in the hospital. The heart attack had been too much for her. Salisu felt a deep sadness, not because he missed her, but because of the choices she made. How could someone who was supposed to protect me cause me so much pain? He wondered. But he remembered Alheri's words and chose to forgive her in his heart. The next morning, Salisu made his way to the company. The employees were shocked to see him. Whispers filled the office as they stared at the man they thought had disappeared 5 years ago. One of the senior staff, Mr. Danladi, approached him cautiously. Sir, is it really you? Salisu nodded. Yes, it's me. I'm back and I'm here to take charge. The employees erupted into applause. Salisu felt a warmth he hadn't experienced in years. He knew there was work to do, but for now, he focused on reclaiming what was his. After taking full control of his company, Salisu ensured everything was running smoothly. He established a new system of fairness and accountability, removing anyone who had taken advantage of his absence. A month later, he traveled back to the village, where he had wandered for years. He visited the people who had helped him to thank them personally. When he arrived, the villagers were shocked. Salisu, the man they had known as cheerful wanderer, returned in convoy of cars, dressed in fine clothes and full of life. He gathered the people in the village square and told them his story, leaving no detail out. The villagers gasped as they heard about the betrayal by his auntie and the kindness of Alheri, the mysterious woman who saved him. I will never forget the love and kindness you all showed me when I had nothing, Salisu said. Now it's my turn to give back. He kept his promise. Salisu employed several young men and women from the village in his company, giving them a chance to build a better future. He provided money for the elderly women to start small businesses and paid for the education of the children whose families couldn't afford it. Salisu also funded the construction of a borehole, ensuring the villagers had clean, accessible water. The village is my home now, he declared. I am one of you, and I will always return to look for ways to help. The villagers were overjoyed. They praised God for guiding them to help Salisu, when he was at his lowest. One of the elders said, "This is a lesson for all of us. Never look down on anyone, no matter how they appear. You never know what the future holds." "Salisu, you were always so kind even when you had nothing," another elderly woman said. "Now you have come back to bless us. May your life be filled with joy." Salisu continued to visit the village regularly, always looking for more people to help. His heart remained pure, just as Aloy had advised, and his life was filled with peace and fulfillment. Salisu smiled, but his heart still felt heavy. He missed Aloy. As he lay on his bed that night, he whispered, "Thank you, Aloy. Wherever you are, I hope you can hear me." From this story, we learned that it is good to treat everyone with kindness, no matter their situation. The person you help today may be the one to help you tomorrow. Also, forgiveness and a pure heart are powerful. They can free you from bitterness and pave the way for a better future. And we should not forget that wealth and success are best used when shared to uplift others. This is Umma's story time. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I am Amarachi Ihoma, the young storyteller.